Hey everyone, I'm going to walk you through the process of cloning a GitHub repo into RStudio Cloud, making changes to the documents in RStudio Cloud, and then staging and committing and pushing those changes back to GitHub, right? So we're going to start, I'm going to ease you in to working in GitHub via RStudio Cloud. I know that lots of you probably don't have many hours left in RStudio Cloud. But the reason I am starting by linking GitHub and RStudio Cloud is that the process of installing Git on your machine and getting it talking to RStudio Cloud to RStudio on your machine can be the trickiest part, right? So I want you to get used to working in Git and committing changes and pushing them back to working in RStudio Cloud and making changes and pushing them back to GitHub. Without having to go through the drama of installing Git and making Git and RStudio on your machine talk to each other first, right? So what I've done here is I've created a GitHub account for the internship, and there are a number of repos associated with this GitHub account. There's one for each group. So once you're ready to try, within your group, just let me know and I will add your GitHub username as a collaborator on whichever group you're in, right? So you want to sign up for a GitHub account via github.com. You want to remember what you decide your GitHub username to be and which email address you use, and you want to be remembering what the password is because you're going to have to use it a lot, right? So make the password something that isn't hackable but is memorable. All right, so I'm going to show you how this is going to work with this practice repo called My Internship Project. And so this is a practice repo in that it has a few documents and a few folders that we can mess around with. So there's an RProj file. There is a README document, and this is the README document for a GitHub repo appears in the bottom here. There is a git ignore file, which we're going to ignore for the moment, but when you get working with Git a lot, this file allows you to tell Git to ignore certain files. So if you have really large data files or data that is not shareable to the world, then you would use the git ignore file to tell Git not to push those files up to GitHub because GitHub is open. The dstore file, you just ignore that, it's a system file. And then there's two folders, one that has a data file in it and one that has a script in it, right? So this is a central repo that lives on GitHub in the cloud. And what we're going to do is clone it to our RStudio Cloud account. So I'm going to press this green code button, and I'm going to press this little button on the side of the URL that looks a little bit like a notepad or a board. I'm going to press that, and that will copy the URL. Then I'm going to go into my RStudio Cloud account. And I'm going to go back to projects. And over here, this blue button that says make a new project, I'm going to pull down on the arrow there and say I want a new project from GitHub. And then I'm going to paste in the URL of the Git repository to that space and say OK. It's going to chug a little bit. Awesome. All right, so now we have a project where all the files associated with this project are exactly the same as those that were in our GitHub repo. So we have an RProj file called My Internship Project. There's a README file, there's a folder with some data, a folder with some scripts, and then these couple of files that we can just ignore, right? So we're going to make some changes to the files in our local copy. So we can think of RStudio Cloud as like cloning it to our machine. And then we're going to stage and commit and push those changes back to the cloud repo that lives on GitHub. So let's open the README file. And I'm going to add a line here to say, quick brown fox is eating the lazy dog. That's not how that phrase goes. Something the lazy dog. I don't remember. Anyway, doesn't matter. We're adding a line of text to the README. And I'm going to close this README. I'm going to save it and close it. And then on the right-hand quadrant here, usually we work in the environment in this top right-hand corner, but a couple of tabs over, there is a tab called Git. And when you click on that tab, it is telling us that this README file is now modified. This little blue M means that we've changed something about it. So what we want to do is stage and commit and push that change up back to the GitHub repo in the cloud. So we're going to press this little check button to stage the file. That's just telling Git that this is the file we want to add. We're going to press the commit button, and that'll bring up a new window. So in this window, you can see that it will flag for you the changes in the document relative to the last time you pulled the code down. So here we can see that this line is green, it's been added. If you were deleting things, then you would see both maybe red and green. Things that had been deleted would be in red, things that have added are in green. So we're going to add a commit message. So Jenny is editing the README. We add a commit message and then press the commit button. And here it's telling me you only need to do this the first time, but it's telling me, please tell me who you are, right? So it just wants to authenticate that your username and email. And so what we're going to do is do that. So we're going to just close out for this for the moment. Get rid of this. And we're going to go back to the terminal. So you'll notice here on next to the console, there is a tab called Terminal. And when you get really good at interacting with Git from RStudio, you can actually type commands to stage or add files, commit them and write a message, and then push them right from the terminal. When you're a beginner, it's easier to do it by these button presses in the top right-hand corner. But once you get pretty good and comfortable with the workflow, typing straight into the terminal is actually easier. For this config process, we need to type into the terminal. So what we want to do, here I have the instructions from Jenny Bryant's Introduce Your her Happy Git with R book. And what we want to do is tell Git what our username is. So maybe this will let me copy. Let's try. When I copy this in, will it let me do that? No, I have to. I'm going to pull this out and so that I can see it at the same time. There we go. All right. So what I want to do is type git config space -- global space user dot name, and then in quotes, whatever your Git username is. Mine is Jen Richmond. Oops, I've missed a. Now, Git is just as finicky about typing as R is, so make sure you're being a bit careful. Global user dot name and Richmond. All right, then we're going to go git config -- global user dot email, and then just to check that we have things working and that it's going to save those credentials, we go git space config space -- global space -- list, and that's all good. All right, so Kate is almost ready to try this, but we'll finish this process first. All right, so now that we've told Git what our credentials are, we should be able to go back to this commit button and editing the README. Should be able to go commit, Yes. All right. Now it's telling us that the message associated with this commit is editing the README, and it's changed one file. And so we can close out this window, and then we press the green push button. So that's going to push those changes back to Git. Now, here's where you need to remember your username and your password. Awesome. All right, that looks like it's been successful. So I can close this out now. And now I can go back to the GitHub repo and refresh the browser, and you can see that my new line in the README has appeared. All right, so that's the process of cloning the repo to your RStudio Cloud account, making a change to the README, and then staging that change, committing and writing a message, and then pushing it back into the GitHub repository.
Hi.
Hello. How are you doing?
I don't think I'm cautiously optimistic. I think I've just broken GitHub.
Okay, so I've just recorded a little video of me doing this process, and as I did that, you can see that I was making changes. I'm just going to share my screen so that you can see. I was making changes, and I forgot your the quick brown. I've added the quick brown foxes eating the lazy dog. What is that supposed to be? The quick brown
fox jumped over the lazy dog.
Jumped over. Okay, so
or jumps over, I think, to get the S.
Yeah, so you're going to have to correct that for me.
Okay.
So
that's good. So I'll be deleting something and adding something.
Yes. So provided you've fixed your GitHub account issues, then
I have deleted one. I have changed the password in the UNSW one to be one that I use for my UNSW login too. So like it's one I know because I have to log into my computer with it and I can't use my password manager.
Yes.
I'm not quite sure what else I can do.
Okay, so let's try this again.
Okay.
We're going to start from scratch, right? So there is an obvious error in our README, Kate, and you as my collaborator have come, you want to fix this, right? So
because the quick brown fox is not eating the lazy dog, Jenny.
No. That's weird, isn't it? All right. So what I'm going to do is in superstition, I deleted you as a collaborator because you were unreliable.
Yeah. Quite. I was clearly a hacker or some kind of person misrepresenting themselves.
Absolutely. So I am going to invite you again. Tell me, which version of yourself do you want?
There should only be one version. So if you type in my surname, maybe FAASSE. Oh. Okay, it should be Kate Fossey then. I take it back.
Okay.
Because apparently I've stolen some other Fossey K's.
There we go. There you go. All right.
So my old one should no longer exist.
Okay. So I'm going to add you as a collaborator to this project. And this is what I'll do for students for each group. As they let me know that they are brave and want to try it, they need to let me know what their username for GitHub is, and I will add them as a collaborator to the repo of whatever group they belong to. All right, so I'm going to add you to this repository, and GitHub should send you an email. So if you check your email, and while we do that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and maybe it makes more sense for you to share your screen.
Yes. See if GitHub is going to, there'll be something that goes wrong.
There will, but it's
share my screen. Oh, there it is.
Sweet. All right. So you want to accept that invitation.
I would like to accept this invitation.
Beautiful. All right. So now you have access to this pretend repo, right?
Yes.
So what I want you to do is click on the green code button, and the little clipboard notepad thing to the right of that URL, click on that.
Okay.
And it will copy the URL.
Done.
Good.
Good.
Now I want you to go to your RStudio Cloud account.
Okay, I might just log in all new in the hope that whatever witchcraft was going on last time. Okay.
Excellent. Now, actually,
should I delete this?
Because I'm superstitious, let's delete that. I'm not sure that that's what was causing our problems before, but you know, coding makes you superstitious. Yeah, empty your trash.
Empty the trash, make it go away.
Yeah, okay. All right, back to your projects. Now, the blue new project button, pull down on the side of that and say new project from repository.
Okay, and then paste, which is going to be, okay.
I'm going to try and remember to mute every time I have a coughing fit so that it's not really disgustingly terrible. I don't have COVID. I just have this lingering cough that is driving me crazy.
That is not fun anytime, and particularly not fun during a COVID outbreak.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so now we have a copy of this repo in your RStudio Cloud.
Nice.
Awesome. So you can open the README document and you can fix that mistake. Go on. The quick brown fox does not eat the lazy dog.
Does not. No. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Thank you. That's so much better. Okay, so save that document and close it.
Okay.
And then you'll notice on the top right panel, a few tabs over from the environment, you'll see a Git tab.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So now your README document appears in this Git tab now because you've modified it. So the little blue square, M for modified. And what you want to do now is stage that file. That is, tell Git that you're going to commit and push it. So you press the little checkbox and then press the commit button. Excellent. Oh, look at that.
That's cool.
Right? So this is where the functionality of Git comes in, right? So when students are working in groups and this is, the README is just a markdown file, but this works the same if it's an R markdown file or a script. It will log exactly what has been deleted and what has been added between each push and pull, right? So anything that has been deleted is in red and things that have been added are in green. So you can add a commit message.
Okay.
So these commit messages, it's often helpful to your collaborators to make them meaningful, right? So to tell what has changed about the document. And yes, foxes don't eat dogs, thank you.
Maybe I don't know.
Maybe.
All
right, now you want to press the commit button in the bottom right.
Okay.
Aha. Ooh. Okay, so this, you only have to do this once. The first time you commit changes to a GitHub repo, Git wants to check that you are who you are, right? So this git config process, you just have to do it once. But what we're going to do is go back to the terminal to do this, right? So you can maybe copy those lines and we'll see if we can paste them into the terminal.
Can I close this one?
You can close that one. Okay. And you can close out of that whole window, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So back next to the console, there's a tab called Terminal.
Aha.
Right. So once you get really good at interacting with Git, you can type commands in the terminal that stage and commit with a message and push. When you're first learning, sometimes it's easier to use the buttons in the top right. But once you get really good, you can do this by the command line in your terminal. For this git config process, we have to use the command line in the terminal. So paste those lines in there and then see if it'll let you edit them. Can you backspace that and add your username? Yeah. Cool. And then maybe type the top one again.
That is my UNSW address.
Yeah.
And now the only email address I have associated with GitHub.
Yes. Awesome. Now, there's one more command that Jenny Bryant recommends at this stage in her Happy Git with R book. You can check that it has saved your credentials by typing git space config config, make sure, yeah. So Git is just as fussy about typing as R is. Space global.
Dash global.
Oh, sorry, dash global. Yes, space dash list. Yeah, and enter. All right, so this is confirming, yes, I know that you are Kate and I've saved those details. Okay. All right, so now you should be able to go back across to the Git tab, press commit again, and type your snarky commit message in again.
Maybe I'll just behave myself this time and not keep a record of snarky commit messages.
Okay, good plan. And then press the commit button.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So this is telling us that one file has changed. There was one thing deleted and one thing inserted, and the message that it's associating with this commit is Kate edited text. And then you can press the close on that.
Okay.
And then you press the green push button.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
This is where we've gone wrong before.
It is.
Fingers crossed, everybody.
Fingers firmly crossed.
All right.
Okay.
So you need your GitHub username and then your GitHub password that you use to log into GitHub.
What? I don't understand this. So if I go back to GitHub and I sign out and I sign in and I say this, no, I spell my own name right. And I put in exactly the password I just put in. What's a 6-digit code? But I did set it up to text me instead of having to go through the Authenticator app. But it sent me threatening messages before that was like, if you don't put on two-factor authentication, you won't be able to do this and this and this and this. And I was like, okay, it's very serious. But like that is the right password. Do you think it's the two-factor authentication that's doing it with? I mean, I'm going to turn it off. Maybe?
Yeah.
I don't two-factor methods. That's actually not how the authentication is working. Turn it off. Okay. I'm going to try this again and maybe we will have solved this. I bet we have not. So if I hit commit again, okay. No. That does not seem to. So did it actually do the thing?
Sorry, I muted myself while I was coughing.
No, you're okay.
So put your, go back to at this stage, so see how it says your branch is ahead of the origin by one commit?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you've already committed. Now you should just be able to push. So push the green push button.
Okay.
And fingers crossed. It is the two-factor authentication.
Is the two-factor authentication.
Okay, so
that's important to know. Security is a bad idea. It will ruin everything. Don't do that. Well, actually, that was really helpful problem solving, though, because I can imagine that other people will have done the same thing as I did, which was follow Git's instructions that were quite firmly worded to put on my extra authentication.
Okay, that's good to know. So if you run into this problem, it is the fact that Git security is preventing you from interacting with Git, and turn the two-factor authentication off. All right, so this looks like it has worked. So go close.
Yes.
And then go back to the GitHub repo.
No.
Go, find your repositories. Go, pull.
Profile?
No.
I'm going to click that one.
Yeah. So see on the left-hand side here, actually. Yeah, that one.
Yes. Okay.
Go there. And then, 4 minutes ago, Kate edited text, and now the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Yay!
That is very cool.
Okay, now I can't believe that
took about 17 takes and quite a few muffled swear words.
There was a fair amount of
what the.
All right, so can you stop sharing? And then I'm going to pull your changes into my repo. Okay, so I'm going to do this. And I'm going to share my Chrome. Can you see my Chrome now?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, so I'm going to go into RStudio Cloud. So imagine that Kate and I are working together, and she has Slacked me and said, I worked out this really great code problem. And I'm like, great, you push those to Git and I'll pull them so that I can see your code, right? So you'll note it. So I have my copy of the repo in my RStudio Cloud, but if we look at my README, the quick brown fox is still eating the lazy dog, right? This is not a good situation, right? So what we want to do, I want to pull Kate's changes down into my local, that is RStudio Cloud. And that's super easy to do using the Git tab and this blue pull button. So the green is the push and the blue is the pull. So I'm going to pull the changes. And it tells me that one of the files has changed. And if I go close and now open the README, now the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. All right. So I'm going to make some different changes. So in the script file, I have an R script that is making a penguin plot, right? And so I can run this and see what it looks like.
Oh.
We're going to run. Oh, could not find. Hang on. We got to go. Oh, install.
Oh.
Right. So as it turns out, I didn't have these packages installed, which it's going to chug a little bit at, but that could take a little while. All right, I think it's installed all these packages. Let's try running this code again. I'll go run. All right, so now I have this nice penguin plot. Beautiful. Now, I've decided that actually I'm only interested in Adelie and Gentoo penguins. I don't care about those chin straps. There's not very many of them there anyway. So I'm going to filter. I'm going to take my penguin starter. I'm going to throw a filter in here. So I'm going to go species is in this list. And I want only Adelie and Gentoo. Right, and then I'm going to pipe that filtered data into my ggplot. And now I've just got 2. Good?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to save that R script and I'm going to Slack my collaborator, Kate, and say, because actually the chin straps are not very interesting. I've changed the plot so that it only compares Adelie and Gentoo. And now you'll notice up in my Git tab, it's telling me that the scripts, in the scripts folder, the penguin plot file has changed. It's been modified. So what I'm going to do is stage that file. Say I'm going to add it to the Git repo. I'm going to commit the file. And you can see here how it's
your
added.
Pop-up's not showing up.
Oh,
sorry.
This one, is that better? Can you see that now?
I can see the pop-up now.
Okay, good. So it has removed the first data into the pipe and added this extra filter line. So I'm going to say filtered out chin strap penguins as my commit message. And then I'm going to commit that change. It says 1 file is changed, 2 insertions, 1 deletion. Great. Close out that little pop-up and say push. Awesome. So that looks like it worked. Okay. So if I go, I'm going to close this one. Oh, screen sharing. Screen sharing. This is a bit clunky, isn't it? All right. So now, in theory, I should be able to go back to this repo and refresh. And we'll see in the scripts folder, it's saying filtered out the chin strap penguins, right? So, Kate, do you want to pull those changes down into your, so if you share your screen and show us your RStudio Cloud.
Let's get this. I'm going to share my whole screen because it's going to be easier to see pop-ups.
Yes.
So we are in my RStudio Cloud. That's helpful.
Good job. Now you want to use the blue pull button.
Okay.
Awesome. Ooh. That looks good.
That looks like what you did.
Yeah. So if you go close and then go into the scripts folder and the penguin plot, now it has my changes in it.
Look at that.
Yeah. Right. So in terms of workflow, what you want to always remember to do is pull before you push, right? Because other than the initial setup, which turns out is kind of clunky, the only other hard thing about Git is when you end up with conflicting changes with your collaborators. So if you're working on one file and one of your friends is working on one file and you try to push the changes to their GitHub, but they've also made changes that you haven't yet pulled down onto your machine, you can end up with changes that conflict. And then dealing with merge conflicts is just kind of annoying, right? So what you want to, or you can avoid merge conflicts entirely by always going git pull to make sure you've got everybody else's work first before you try and stage and commit and push your changes. Good?
Good.
Okay.
All right.
I think that's going to be useful.
I think that's going to be really useful.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
You did it.
I did it.